morning. My name is Okira Harris, and I serve as the Assistant to the Director of Public Engagement at the Office of the 75th Governor of North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper. This is our 15th weekly webcast with a purpose to keep you updated on important changes regarding loosened restrictions and resources, and much more. Further information can also be found at covid19.ncdhhs.gov. Today we will hear from Deputy Secretary for Health Services, Ben Money, Director of Volunteerism and Community Service, Caroline Farmer, Director of the Department of Administration Hub Office, Tammy Hall, and receive an update from the North Carolina Department of Revenue. We will wrap up our session with questions and answers from Acting Director of Public Engagement, Quinn Godwin. Again, thank you for joining this session. I now invite Deputy Secretary Ben Money to the stage.
Thank you, Akira, and good morning, North Carolina. As we move into October, the key indicators we watch across the state remain stable, and so we are guardedly encouraged about where we are in this pandemic. However, this is fragile, and as I've said before, it can change quickly, so we cannot take anything for granted. Across the country, cases are beginning to increase again, particularly in the Midwest and the South. We're also seeing a similar trend in countries around the world. These are warning signs that the disease could spike again, here and across the country. So, we're going to need to double down on our work to slow the spread of the virus and keep us on the right track. We all must take personal responsibility to protect others by wearing masks and keeping our physical distance. Again, our stability is fragile, and with the cooler weather and flu season comes new challenges. While we are methodical and cautious about easing restrictions, we need to use proven methods, keep these proven methods, including wearing face coverings, waiting 6 feet apart, and washing our hands often. Remember, I call that the 3 W's. So, because of our stability, yesterday Governor Cooper announced that we are taking another careful step forward. North Carolina will move into Phase 3 beginning this Friday, October 2nd at 5 p.m. So here's what will change. First, our at-risk population, it's really safer to stay at home. For everyone, a face covering is mandatory for those over the age of 5. And as the head of the CDC has said, a mask is the single best tool that we have against the virus. Also, in this new order, large outdoor venues with seating greater than 10,000 may operate with 7% occupancy for spectators and with other safety protocols, as we previewed last week. Smaller outdoor venues like arenas and amphitheaters may operate at 30% of outdoor capacity, or 100 guests, whichever is less. Movie theaters and conference centers may open indoor spaces to 30% of capacity, or 100 seated guests, whichever is less. Bars may operate outdoors only at 30% of outdoor capacity, or 100 guests, again, whichever is less. Outdoor amusement parks may open at 30% occupancy, and the limits on mass gatherings will remain at 25 people indoors and 50 people outdoors. Also, the 11 p.m. curfew on alcohol sales for in-person consumption in locations such as restaurants and outdoor bars will be extended. Phase 3 continues our state's dimmer switch approach to easing restrictions and will be effective through Friday, October 23rd. We need to stay vigilant and remember that every gathering carries a risk of spreading the virus. Being safe means being smart and making sure others around you are doing the same. For those over 65 and those with health risks, we urge you to act responsibly. You really are safer at home. COVID-19 is still widespread across North Carolina. And if you are going out, do what works. We know wearing a mask, keeping physical distancing of at least 6 feet apart, washing your hands often, and also don't patronize or go to places where people aren't doing that. Until we have a vaccine or a reliable cure, precautions like the 3 W's will be with us for a while. But this also means that our children can go back to school and our economy can fully rebuild when we are safe and people have confidence that they can stay healthy. Also, anyone with symptoms or anyone who thinks they have been exposed to COVID-19, whether you have symptoms or not, should be tested for COVID-19. If you think you may need testing and would like to find a place nearby to get tested, we've got a Check My Symptoms and Find My Testing Place site on our website. You can also find the short-term testing events and pop-up testing sites on our website. Right now, there are over 600 testing sites available across the state. We've also released a new Slow COVID NC app for Apple and Android phones. And this Slow COVID NC app is the official COVID-19 exposure notification app for North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. It's free and available from the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Slow COVID NC leverages Bluetooth technology and lets the app user know if they may have been exposed to COVID-19, enabling them to quickly act to protect themselves and those in their community. Slow COVID NC allows users to be notified if they have been in close contact with someone who has shared a positive COVID-19 test through the app. Users can anonymously share a positive COVID-19 test result to notify others of exposure and help to slow the spread of COVID-19. With widespread use of Slow COVID NC, we can slow the spread of the virus in North Carolina. The app will proactively notify other app users who may have been exposed to COVID-19, provide them with recommended next steps, such as if they need to quarantine and where to get tested. If an app user tests positive, they will receive relevant information from DHHS on how to self-isolate and how to protect their loved ones. They may also receive a phone call from the local health department because they've been identified through the traditional contact tracing methods. They should speak with the contact tracer if they call, who may have more specific information about the exposure and the quarantine time frame and can offer additional support services for quarantine. DHHS has also developed a partner COVID-19 testing toolkit. We've done this in English and in Spanish, and it's designed to guide community partner organizations such as churches, civic organizations, groups, and schools through the steps of hosting a testing event. It walks through what resources are available and how to work with a healthcare testing partner. Also remember, flu season is starting. Please get your flu shot. This year, it's more important than ever to get a flu vaccination, considering the continued presence of the COVID-19 viral pandemic has already claimed more than 205 American lives. Widespread flu and COVID-19 at the same time could overwhelm our healthcare system, making it hard for people to get medical care that they may need. A flu shot is low cost or no cost for many North Carolinians with commercial insurance. Also, all North Carolina Medicaid members have access to no-cost flu shots this year during the health emergency of COVID-19. Local health departments, community health centers, and free clinics also may offer no-cost flu shots to uninsured patients based on availability. So please, get a flu shot and encourage your family, your friends, your neighbors to do the same. Again, we urge you to get a flu shot, particularly this year. And also, remember, whatever the reason, get behind the mask. I'm sure you've heard that, the commercials that we have about that. It's really important. Every step we take to move forward, every time we wear a mask and keep our distance, we're helping to keep this disease at bay. And we're building a stronger North Carolina. So join me in getting behind the mask. At this time, I'll ask Carolyn Farmer to come up and give us an update. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for continuing to join us and having an interest in COVID and your opportunities to volunteer. I'm Caroline Farmer. I'm with the North Carolina Commission on Volunteerism and Community Service. We are happy to be part of this every other week. Earlier this week, a girlfriend who happens to be a pastor gave me a lovely book, and it's by Charlie Mackesy, and it's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. In it, there's a boy talking to a horse, and basically he says, "We have a long way to go." And the horse replies, "But look how far we've come." So with that, welcome to phase 3, because look how far we've come. It has been much awaited. I know many of you have been waiting for phase 3 to be announced, so we are excited about that. But as far as volunteerism, not much has changed. Most of the changes, if you noticed when Ben was talking, were about entertainment facilities, socializing rules, and so forth. So we're still at the 25 indoor, 50 outdoor rule for volunteerism. The difference is as of last time, we had museums that are open. So volunteers are available to start helping with the museums. Now we have theaters, events, sporting events, music events that will also need some volunteers. So those opportunities are available. As far as COVID volunteerism opportunities, for those of you who have listened before, we have the same opportunities as before, but it's gotten even more dire. Food banks, pantries. This is going to be a need for a systematic way for volunteering. We're going to need you to commit to doing something every month, every quarter, getting a group together, family members that you can be around, that you feel comfortable, to work at a food bank or a food pantry, because this is going to continue to be the case for a while longer. We are also asking for those people, knock on wood, we don't have a hurricane, but we do need hurricane shelter workers. So we're looking at non-congregate sheltering, but it is important for us to have those people around who can help with registering shelter victims, hurricane victims, tornado victims, making sure and assigning those folks to non-congregate shelters. So we need help with that. If you're interested, please go to our website, sign up for volunteer opportunities, and you'll get email about that. And the website for us is volunteernc.org. volunteernc.org. Now, in addition to that, in the coming few weeks, we will have another opportunity for people. Students are back in schools, and although some of them are starting to open up virtually, in person, there is going to be a need for virtual volunteer tutors. And so we want to make sure you're aware of that. If you sign up for that, the email alerts, you'll get information about the education volunteer tutors that we're going to have. So that way you can see if it's something that's of interest. If you have special skills, we want to know about it, because those folks who are good at chemistry and some of the more difficult subjects, we want to make sure that you have the ability to help those students who are at home, are struggling. Even if they're not at home, they're behind in their studies. Food drives. You know, there is a nutritional disparity in this state, and some of our historically marginalized populations and communities are still in need of food. So think about running a food drive. I'll tell you, the American Indian Women of Proud Nations is organizing 2 in the month of October. Drive-through, drop-off food. Put it in your trunk. Be safe. There's a Hispanic Community Task Force of Forsyth that is giving out masks and food. A Mexican has been having resource fairs where they do COVID testing, provide PPE, as well as provide pantry items. There is still a need at the food banks for cloth masks, sewn masks. So if you are part of a group or can put together a group of people to help sew even just a few cloth masks, that will be hugely significant for us. Now, we still have hurricane disaster victims, and now that we are 25 people in a space, we can start increasing that effort to start rebuilding those homes from Hurricane Florence, even Hurricane Matthew from 3 years ago. And then I say yes, we have those homes that we have to start working on. So I encourage you to think about that and be engaged and involved. If you can, have your people that you're friendly with And if you can socialize with a group of friends, then you can definitely help and with a food bank or at a venue to help volunteer to make a difference in someone else's life. Lastly, I would encourage you to think about those people around you who may not have friends, who may not have someone touching base with them. Make an effort to reach out, make an effort to talk to those folks and build a relationship so they know someone's thinking about them. On behalf of Governor Roy Cooper, thank you all very much.
Good morning. I am Tammy Hall, and I serve as the director of the Office for Historically Underutilized Businesses, housed in the Department of Administration under the leadership of Secretary Michelle Sanders. I am excited to share with each of you today a new initiative that the governor is rolling out. It's called Retool NC. Governor Cooper included in his budget $12 million for this particular initiative, and we are extremely happy to see it come to fruition. It was covered under Executive Order 143 that the governor issued earlier this summer to address disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on communities of color. Retool NC is a grant program that has been created to support small minority and women-owned businesses in North Carolina that have been impacted by the pandemic. What we know is across the country, and particularly here in North Carolina, small minority and women-owned businesses have struggled to keep their doors open during this time. To address these challenges and others, Retool NC provides grants to certified hub businesses and certified NCDOT disadvantaged business enterprises. The Hub Office, in partnership with the North Carolina Institute of Minority Economic Development, we all know it as the Institute, and Carolina Small Business Development Fund, will administer the grant program. If you are certified and your business name begins with the alphabet A through K, you are to apply through the Institute. If your company name begins with a number or the alphabet L through Z, you are to apply through Carolina Small Business Development Fund. The grant amounts start at $10,000, not to exceed $25,000. If you're listening today, and perhaps you are not Hub certified, and you meet the eligibility, guess what? There's still time for you to become Hub certified. You must act quickly. I encourage you to begin the process today. If you do not meet the criteria, no worries. There are additional resources available for you through the Department of Commerce. Please visit their website for additional information. The portals for applications will open on Monday, October the 5th at 10 a.m. with the partners that I mentioned earlier, the Institute, Carolina Small Business Development Fund. We are excited about this program. We ask you to visit our website for additional information, or you can email us at an email address specific for Retool NC. The email address is hub@doa.nc.gov. If perhaps you need additional information, as I indicated, please visit our website. You can easily Google it, NC Hub Office, or our specific web address is ncadmin.nc.gov /businesses/hub. We're excited to bring this program forward. Thank you.
Hey North Carolinians, my name is Austin Davis, and I'm the Knowledge, Education, and Outreach Associate Director with the Department of Revenue. Today I'll be discussing with you the Extra Credit Grant Program that will be administered by the department. The program was signed into law in early September as part of the state's COVID-19 response. The Extra Credit Grant Program provides support to individuals with qualifying children in North Carolina by providing a one-time grant of $335. The purpose of the grant is to provide economic support to eligible individuals with additional virtual schooling or childcare expenses incurred due to the COVID-19 pandemic. You may be asking yourself,
Hello. Hello.
Hi, my name's
Greetings, fellow North Carolinians. Sorry about that technical glitch we just had with that video. Once again, thank you for joining us today. My name is Quinn West Godwin. I am the Acting Engagement Director for the 75th Governor of North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper. Before we leave you today, we want to cover a couple of things, particularly frequently asked questions about this new Phase 3 plan. But first, let me thank all of our speakers today. You know, the usual gang: Okira, Ben, and Caroline, Director Tammy Hall with the Hub office, and Mr. Austin Davis, who unfortunately was cut off, and he's from the Department of Revenue. So a couple of things we want to cover. For additional business resources, following on Director Hall's statements, you can visit the North Carolina Department of Commerce at ncommerce.com. And this is especially for businesses that might not be Hub certified. There are other resources there as well. Census 2020. This is really important for us today. A federal court has ruled that 2020 census data collection must continue through October 31st. The U.S. Census Bureau has since stated that they will stop counting via self-response and field operations on October 5th. The court ruling does not mandate how data is collected. So in other words, the 2020 census is still actively in progress. Currently, we estimate up to 30% of North Carolinians may not have responded to the 2020 census personally. This 30% represents $5.4 billion annually for North Carolina. Accurate census data is vital to your future, your community, and all of North Carolina. If your household did not respond personally online, by phone, by mail, or at your door, time is running out. Do not wait for a visit from a census worker. Please respond now at 2020census.gov or 844-330-2020, and make sure your loved ones get counted as well. We want to proceed into the frequently asked questions for Phase 3. I want to let you know, we mentioned it on the show before, but every time an executive order or announcement is released, the public press releases are released on our personal website, the governor's website, governor.nc.gov. And when you see the press release for the phase shifts or any kind of phase shifts, whether it's a 0.5 shift or to the next phase, they'll often, every time they'll post frequently asked questions, and you can access these yourself. Just go to governor.nc.gov, go to news, and then press releases. So we want to cover Some frequently asked questions. We didn't have any real questions. We had one on our cast today, and I'll get to that later. But, one thing we want you to keep in mind, in addition, is that individuals should check with local governments to determine whether additional restrictions have been imposed in their local jurisdictions to limit the spread of COVID-19. So we're just going to cover the basics here. When does this order take effect? Of course, that's tomorrow, October 2nd at 5 p.m. It is effective until Friday, October 23rd at 5 p.m. Next up, we get a lot of constituent questions in the Office of Public Engagement on our constituent services side, and these next 5 frequently asked questions will highlight some of the questions that we typically get. So the first one, for my bar, night spot, or arena, how many guests are allowed in the outdoor seating area? So according to this phase 3, the lesser of 100 people or 30% of the outdoor occupancy limit. For example, if a bar's outdoor occupancy limit is 400 people, its 30% occupancy calculation would be 120 people outdoors. However, bars may only serve 100 people outdoors per the terms of this order, so this bar is allowed 100 guests. This order continues the restrictions on the late night sale of alcohol. Does this mean my bar has to close at 11 p.m.? No, it does not, but alcohol sales must cease at 11 p.m. Which event and entertainment facilities remain closed under this order? Indoor event and entertainment venues, nightclubs, lounges, and other night spots where guests are not seated. May I have an indoor wedding reception? Yes, venues may host wedding receptions with an occupancy limit of lesser than 100 people or 30% of the stated fire capacity. Guests must be seated and the establishment must follow other requirements set forth in this order. Facilities should avoid scheduling a standing reception or a cocktail hour. Wedding ceremonies are not subject to the capacity and other requirements in this order, but guests are encouraged to follow the 3 W's: wear face covering, wash hands, and wait 6 feet apart. And lastly here, as far as frequently asked questions go, do the limits placed on spectators at entertainment and sporting events and very large outdoor facilities apply to professional and collegiate sports? Yes, spectators at professional and collegiate sporting events at very large outdoor facilities, defined in those facilities with a total seating capacity of 10,000 or more, and which meet the other conditions in the order, are limited to 7% of the facility's total seating capacity. And one question we got on YouTube is, how, without a federal plan in place, how can we open the government, or not only the government, but businesses into phase 3? And, our office, particularly Governor Cooper and his senior staff, have been on this issue since January. And without that federal help, whether it's money or mandates require masks or anything like that, states and governors are largely left to themselves. And one thing I can say I'm proud of our administration and Governor Cooper is that, along with Dr. Mandy Cohen, we follow the metrics. We came out with the phased reopening plan in the early summer, late spring, and we've hinged our efforts on what the metrics say over a 2-week period, not necessarily what happens day to day, but over the trends over the area, or the area time. So we want to address that. And in closing, this month marks a major shift for families now and in the coming months as schools open the doors, some for the first time since this pandemic. Governor Cooper's top priority remains getting children back into in-person learning. We have to take the next steps methodically and responsibly. So to reiterate, the virus continues to spread, so we must continue our hard work to slow the spread of the virus. And that can be done in 3 important ways. And you heard the governor speak on this yesterday. The first way is by practicing the 3 W's: wear, wait, and wash. The second way is to get your flu shot. We're going into the season where it's flu and COVID. So that this is really important that you get your flu shot. And lastly, as Special Deputy Secretary Benjamin Money said, download the Slow COVID NC app to help notify yourself if you've been in the vicinity of people with COVID. We're seeing stability in our metrics, but we can't stress this enough. We're in a very fragile spot, and this is how we protect the progress we've made. State and public health officials will continue watching the key COVID-19 trends over the next several weeks to determine if any further restrictions can be eased when the current executive order expires on October 23rd. So once again, thank you for joining us today. Please keep you and your family safe during these times. Have a good one.